welcome to the AshlanKnits podcast. My name is Ashley and I'm coming to you from Minnesota. I had so much fun making my very first knitting podcast yesterday, and I just felt like, you know what, today I better just get through all of my yarn. My goal in 2023 is to stash bust, so I am planning on going through all of my yarn, seeing the whips that I have, any of the half-finished objects that I've just thrown to the side and maybe need to frog. So if you are interested in watching videos where somebody stash busts and talks about what they're going to do with the yarn that they still have in their stash, this is the place for you. I am very confident that there is going to be yarn in here that I don't remember buying, and I don't remember what the project was. I'll be very honest and put a disclaimer in right now that there are probably a lot of yarns that I don't know the name, where I got them, or what they are. But I think it's going to be fun. My hope overall is to go through all of my yarn, kind of organize it. So I have several boxes, which I'll show here in a second. I'm going to take all of them out, lay them out, and then the plan will be to kind of organize them by weight. If they have a specific project in mind, I'll tell you what I'm thinking the project's going to be. And then I'll decide if there's any that I'm willing to donate, if I need to throw any scraps away, and then if there's any that I'm going to feel like selling. Ultimately, though, I am really hoping to stash bust in 2023 and save our fam some money. But again, I think yarn collecting is a completely different hobby than knitting, so we'll see how that goes. But that's my
All right, so let's get started. So here are 3 boxes and a bag from Pearl Soho with my leftovers from my Nature's Palette blanket, which you can see me talk all about in the first knitting episode. These have been basically sitting around in my house. This long one has been in our guest room for the past 4 or 5 years. So this one I'm most excited to see what's in there because I don't know. This other one that's underneath this bag has been sitting upstairs, or no, it's been sitting down here. It usually houses my nicer yarn and sweater quantities, so I do know what's in there. And then this last one has been sitting upstairs in our bedroom closet. And again, it's going to be kind of a surprise what's in there. You can see I'm currently in my basement. If you were nice enough to watch my podcast yesterday, you'd see I had a different setup. The reason I was upstairs was because I have no actual knitting space available to me. I used to have a really cute yarn room, which was in the room that I set up for my podcast yesterday. So we're in a little bit of a darker spot. This is now where I've been relocated to after having a baby. My husband works from home, so he has to have an in-house office. So anyways, yeah, so I'm just, hopefully the lighting is pretty okay here. I do have an extra light, but let's get going with some fun opening.
Okay, so first I'm going to start with this Pearl Soho bag that's been housing all of my scraps from my Nature's Palette blanket. If you watched the podcast that I put up yesterday, you can see that I finished this I'd say a few weeks ago, but I've been knitting on it for forever. I got a kit from Pearl Soho itself. My husband got it for me for Christmas, or not for Christmas, for my birthday. And I've been knitting on it for 5 years. So here is a whole bag, except for this one, of leftover yarn pieces. You can see I have a ton of colors left. And so I'm kind of deciding if I want to make a sweater out of the extras. I would have plenty to do that with. I love linen quill. If you've never knit with it before, it is so nice. It holds up so well. I have done the silk or shiny and matte wrap from them, and they use linen quill for the matte portion. I love it. I think that this is a great yarn. It's a nice fingering weight, and I'm very excited to use it again. So I have a lot of skeins of this, or leftover yarn cakes of this, as well as a lot of scraps. So I am going to put this down somewhere, kind of lay it, keep it probably all together, and maybe make this bag just a bag of linen quill, because I have some more too from another project. I do want to show how pretty this blue is. It is so stinking cute. It is such a rich blue color. I would love to knit just a sweater out of this color if I could. And then this ball was from the shiny and matte wrap that I talked about. I'll probably put it on my podcast in the future. It's just such a pretty kind of taupey, beigey pink. I love it. So I was very happy with that. Okay, so next I'm opening up the box that houses usually my nicer yarn, as well as my sweater quantities, or at least some of it. So in here, let's see first. So I have several skeins of Brooklyn Tweed Loft in the color Snowbound. I will put a link to it below, but my plans for this yarn is to make the Tensile Pullover by Emily Green. It is so pretty. It's got eyelets everywhere. I think that everything that Emily Green makes is really, really pretty. It's super awesome construction. So I've had this in my yarn stash for a very long time. I think this was one of my first luxury yarn purchases. I always wanted Brooklyn Tweed, and I got it at a store out in Minneapolis, and I felt so awesome buying it. And because of that, I feel like I've had a really hard time letting it go and putting it into an actual sweater. So this is something I'm definitely going to knit this year. I'm planning on knitting probably one of the smaller sizes. Like I said in my first podcast, I'm notoriously cheap, and so I usually buy one less hank than I need and hope for the best and play yarn chicken. So I'll probably have to make a little bit smaller sweater and a little bit more crop. So we'll see how that goes, but I am excited for this. It's held up pretty well too, sitting in a box. Okay, and then let's see. So the next one I have here are Madeline Tosh. This is the colorway Joshua Tree. I don't know if you can see that very well. This is a 50% silk, 50% merino blend. When Madeline Tosh got, I guess, bought by Jimmy Bean's Wool, or however they like migrated and merged together, they had a huge sale going on, and so I got a bunch of lovely skeins of this really pretty color. This is a very soft yarn. This is a DK weight, and I have a plan for a sweater that I've designed to do kind of a similar construction as the Tensile pullovers, so a little bit tighter sleeve, a little bit more boxy length. So we'll see if I get to this. If not, I'll probably find a really pretty DK sweater to make this with. I've been thinking about doing like the, I think the Junction pullover by Andrea Mallory is in DK, or her Shifty, and I have a few skeins of really pretty yarn that would work well with this to do more of like that color change. So that could be an option, but we'll see. I feel like this has to be its own thing, and I'm hoping that I get to doing the design that I want to. Okay, and then I couldn't resist myself. I think it was 2 years ago. I've always wanted to get Plucky Knitter yarn, and I found this on their website, and I just had to buy it. So here is Plucky Knitter. This is the Traveler Aran weight. It is 220 yards. It's extra fine, superwash merino, mulberry silk, and yak. So it's 65 of the merino, 20% silk, and 15% yak. And it is so pretty. I've actually never knit with yak before, so I'm excited to see how it works. I have, oh, I should say this is in the color Starlings. So it's a really pretty, I was actually catching it really nicely. It's kind of a mauve purple. I'm so bad. It's like a gray purple. But it's just so pretty. I have, yeah, 4 skeins of this, and with the yardage and the weights, I think I'll be able to get a shorter sweater out of this, or a cardigan. So we'll see. Like I say, I always buy 1 skein less than I need and hope for the best, but I don't 100% have a plan for this, but I do have a quantity enough for me to make a shirt or a sweater. Okay, and then here is the Sun Valley Fibers that I talked about yesterday in my podcast. This is their merino cashmere silk blend in the color Pedal Pusher. This is very much the color of it. It's a tan pink. I am putting this right now in my newspaper sweater or newspaper pullover by Joji Locatelli. This is one of 3 skeins. I've already used 1 skein. I'm using the second right now, and then probably going to get to this too. If I don't end up using this skein, I'll probably knit my daughter probably a sweater out of it, a little probably a little cardigan. I don't know, we'll see. It's very, very soft, it's very yummy, and I trust her better now to keep her things a little nicer, but she's not allowed to eat them because then it would be super messy. But I love this yarn, it's great. Like I said in my first podcast, I was expecting to make my own sweater out of this, but I again was cheap and only bought enough for a small sweater or a t-shirt. So now I've added the blue and made a newspaper pullover with it. But I love this yarn. I'm super excited to keep knitting with it. All right, let's see what else we've got. Ooh, this is my Woolfolk yarn. This is my only Woolfolk I think I have. Oh, I actually have one more. This is in the color Snow, I think. This is their, I'm trying to see what weight this is. I don't know what weight. This is definitely a fingering weight yarn. There's 223 yards per 50 grams. The color is 1+2. So it is, if you can see it, there's 2 strands. One strand is white, one strand is, it's kind of blowing out. I can't get it very close, but one strand is white, one strand is gray, and it makes a really pretty kind of marled look. I am planning on making like a hybrid glove mitten, so fingerless gloves with the mitten flap that goes over it with this. I have been complaining about the fact that I don't have a pair of mittens all winter, and of course now it's March and I'm like, oh, I can make that. That's just me. I never am prepared for the Minnesota weather, and now we're moving and it doesn't, I think, quite matter anymore. But this is what that's hopefully going to be in a little bit. I don't have a pattern in mind. I'm probably just going to knit it up and see how it goes, and then maybe write it up for other people to use. And Ollie is here migrating through all my yarn. Say hi, buddy. He just loves being in everything here, so tell everybody hi. All right. And then the last yarn that I have in here is an Icelandic Lopi yarn. It's 260 yards. It is from Betzinger's Wool and Berry Farm. It is, where are they based out of? It's naturally grown. Yep, and like I said, here's the sheep that it comes from. So it's super pretty. It's a very woolly wool, obviously. It's single ply, probably about a bulky weight, worsted weight. I don't have a plan for this yet. I don't even really know how much or what I would make with this. I'm thinking maybe another pair of mittens, so this might be a second pair of mittens for me. But it's really pretty, really sheepy, and it's so soft, which I was quite surprised by. But I forget where I got this from. It was someplace that we traveled to, and again, this is why I'm making a podcast, because I forget everything, even though I say I'm not going to. But I'm really looking forward to knitting with this, so I'm excited that I just rediscovered this. Okay, since I have absolutely no idea what's in the next 2 boxes, I'm just going to open everything up, lay it on the floor, and then go through it as it's already open, because I couldn't tell you what's there, and I'm excited to see, but I have a feeling it's gonna be a little bit of a mess, so don't judge me. I feel like I'm opening up my closet or my pantry and letting people go through it. But yeah, we will all be in for a surprise together.
This is from the first box that was sitting in my bedroom closet. As you can see, it's just all sorts of stuff. I have a pile of yarn that is all mixed together. This is leftover Shibui mohair from my, it's a petite knit pullover. I'm gonna think of it. Anyways, I have leftover of that. I actually found an entire skein left of this, so I'm super happy about that, so I can make something from this. I have tons of whips. This yarn is Madeline Tosh. It's a single ply wool that my dog is laying on right now. These colors are actually listed on my Ravelry page back when I used to do a little bit better job updating my Ravelry. I made a jelly roll sweater out of these three, and then I think I finished off the other skein that I used, but I used 4 skeins for that. This is a really nice cashmere blend superwash merino from one of my local yarn shops, and I knit a pair of socks with these that I'm actually wearing. So there you go. And I actually have a rip in one of the toes already, so I'll use this to mend that. This hot pink is, oh, I forget where I got this from, but it's a really fun hot pink color. I knit my niece a cardigan, a gray and pink cardigan. Here's the leftover gray. It kind of looked like a varsity jacket, so she has that. I think that this pink is so fun. I'm going to use this to make my daughter some socks since she loves pink so much. And then let's see here. This Molly yarn I think is just from Joann's or Michael's. I was trying to make a beret out of it, like a half slouchy beret, brioche beret, and I gave up because it just didn't look right on my head. But I should probably try to make that again. And then let's see here. I've got a bunch of commercial yarn. These two I used to make some mittens a couple years ago. It was a little bit too silky though for mittens, but it was just kind of fun to practice the construction. This is a skein of yarn that I have not used yet, so this is impeccable yarn. I might donate this. I have so much of this beige in my stash that I don't really need it. Medium 4 weight, but it looks pretty nice, so I'll probably donate this one. And then I have another Red Heart soft yarn that I have not used either, so this is actually very, very soft. It's surprising, but I like that. This, which my dog Ollie has decided to make his bed, which obviously ends up being a better plan for it than what I had. This is chenille. I got this at Michael's a few years ago when it was a whole rage to do chenille sweaters, and you can hear my basically I've made the body and was just dividing for the sleeves when I decided that this looked quite silly and I gave up. So I could do this, but I'll probably rip it out and donate this as well. And then let's see what else we have. We've got some whips that I just threw to the side. This was a kit from Knit Crate. It was an opportunity to learn how to knit 2 socks at a time. I got the green, came with both this color and this color. I started the legs and then gave up, which is not uncommon for me. But yeah, I should probably continue these because these are actually very pretty, and this green is very bright and pretty. These 3 balls were going towards mittens. I've already finished one mitten, as you can see, and just, let me pull it on my hand here so you can see it better. And I've just decided to give up on it. I think the problem is that I knit the edge as blue, and I decided I didn't like the look of that. And I don't know what I did here. I think I just was bored, and so I purled part of the hand and kept the other part of the hand open. But yeah, I mean, I did a simple braided cable on the back, and I was going to give these to my sister and just never finished them because I am awful at finishing things on deadlines. But I should finish these. I just was complaining that I don't have any mittens, so that would be good. Let's see what else I have. Up here, I have a bunch of wool from, Oh goodness, I should be more prepared. The Barrett Wool Company, it is Susan B. Anderson's company. I love this wool. I think that it's a fantastic wool. I should knit this for a sweater, but I've been using these to make the little giraffe pattern that she has. I did these 2 colors for a friend, and then I did the white and the blue for my nephew. I'll put a link in there. You also knit a scarf for him, so I picked this orange, and I just loved it. I thought it was a great knit, and I've knit 2 of them. Here's some stuffing for him and some safety eyes. I haven't knit one for my daughter. I probably should, but I burned myself out. This is leftover yarn from one of the sweaters that I've made before. I will put a link below to what it is. It's basically, it came from a kit from, oh, I should know this better, but it came from a kit. Oh, it'll come to me again. And I'll let you know what it is below. But I knit a cardigan. I'll wear it one of these days so that you can see. It came from there we go, We Are Knitters kit. And it's cotton. I knit this on vacation in Cancun because it was cotton. It's soft to the touch, but I've actually found out after knitting this that I really do not like knitting with cotton. I don't like the way it feels between my fingers. It dries them out very easily, so that's one thing. And then, let's see, this is left over from a blanket that I knit my daughter. And then this is Madeline Tosh yarn. It's a sock yarn. This is left over from my Tanya by Caitlin Hunter. I obviously have a ton of this left, so I should put this into socks. This yarn is, I forget what type of yarn this is, but it is super, super soft. It's a wool yarn. I knit my husband a broken rib hat with this, and he accidentally threw it in the washing machine and the dryer, and so it shrank and felted, and now it has officially become my baby's hat. It fits her head perfectly, keeps her very, very warm, but it's pretty hilarious that he did that. And so what I had to end up doing was build him a new hat. So this is Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. I forget what colors these are. They are, again, on my, I think, Ravelry page or on my Instagram. But I knit him one of the, I think, Jared Flood patterns. It's basically just a 2-color seed stitch hat, and he wears that now every single day. And then I bought myself my own and knit an Emily Green's hat. Again, on my Instagram page, you can see it, where I started it at least. And I haven't put the FO out there. I ended up actually making it too big for my head, which is a surprise. When I blocked it, I think it expanded. So yeah, I ran it in the washing machine a bunch, and it has shrunk, and it does fit my head now, but I don't really like the way that hats look on my head, so I haven't really worn it yet. And instead of just complained about the fact that my head is cold. Yeah, and then the next thing, this yarn is from the yarn.com, or the website. It is so stinking soft. It is a single ply. I wish I knew what this was, but it is just so soft. I have a feeling it's going to fuzz and pill a lot. I started making a scarf. I think it's called the Jasmine scarf from Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern. Again, I'll link it. It's got a really pretty slip stitch pattern, and you kind of coil this around and then pick it up after you move to the next level. It's already quite long, but again, I quit making it after a while, but I should finish this because I think it is very, very pretty. I thought about ripping all of this out and using this yarn to make a sweater, and I still might do that because I have a lot of it, and I probably could make myself maybe even a sweater number 9 with it from my favorite things, which I'm making for my mom, since it is a worsted bulkier weight yarn. So this might actually become a sweater number 9 because I think it's just such a pretty cream, and it's so soft. It'll be really nice against the skin. All right, that's my first one. Let's get the last one out of the way, and we'll see what's in there. Okay, so I sped up this second box because it actually didn't have much in it. So this is hilarious. This was the very first sock yarn that I ever bought. It is a just typical sock yarn from just Joann's Fabrics or Michael's. And this is my first sock I ever made. I don't know. It's hilarious though. It's actually, the toe looks a lot like the one I made yesterday because oh my gosh. But yeah, it's so sweet to see this. I'll probably pull this out at some point, but I kind of feel like this is a special place in my heart. You can see where I've just been learning how to do everything. It's so loose, it's so giant. It's quite hilarious. And then here comes Ollie once again going through everything. This yarn, let's see, it actually goes with this. This yarn I made a mosaic blanket for my daughter, or not for my daughter, for my niece when she was first born. It is a free pattern on Pearl Soho, and it's also on my Ravelry page, so you can see. It actually knit up very quickly. It was my first time doing mosaic knitting. I knit it several years ago. She's 5 now. My mom picked out these colors. I kind of regret doing purple and yellow, but she actually did use it quite a bit, so I'm happy about that. This is color changing yarn for socks. I don't know why I got 2 giant skeins of it. And then here is some Red Heart with Love yarn, which I used to actually knit up the blanket that sits on our couch right now. This is a Cables and Baubles blanket. It is also listed on my Ravelry page, and I did give it some love on my Instagram account because it took me forever to do. Again, I don't know why I knit so many blankets, but I do, and I do love them. But yeah, so I think I just have a bunch of yarn. This was yarn my mom found at a estate sale. Let's see if I can show it. It's got like almost like its own piece of, excuse me, hello, own piece of nylon in it, which makes it fun. But I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's quite scratchy, so I'll probably donate this along with several other things that are in this box. But yeah, here is all of that was in my box. There we go. Not including Ollie, who wants to be in there. And then I still have yarn over here to somewhat go through if you want to join. And then I also have over in this corner of my house, if you can see, there's an ottoman there that's blocking the traffic way to the Peloton, and that's just to prevent my daughter from getting over there. But that houses a lot of whips, so I'm going to go through those as well. Okay, so here's the aftermath of my cubbies that hold a bunch of yarn. As you can see, it's just all sorts of stuff. So let's get started. So this is the yarn that I showed yesterday in my podcast, so I won't go over it again. I am planning on making the Zoria sweater. You can find more details of that in that podcast if you're interested. This yarn is yarn that I did get in South Dakota, out in whatever the capital of South Dakota is. Oh my goodness. Anyways, we went, and it was a really cute place. It was in a house, and this is Plymouth yarn Ariado. It's 70% baby alpaca, 7% merino wool, and 23% nylon. As you can see, it's a really, really pretty color, and that is what the color looks like. It almost looks like it's blown, and you can see that the strand is just so soft, so sweet. So I am planning on making the Ursa sweater out of this at some point. It's a very cropped sweater. I only bought 3, again, running my consistent, always buying 1 skein less than I need. So for that, okay, let's see. Here I have a bunch of Patton's Croy Socks FX. I think that this is a really pretty color. I started knitting a sock with it, and I'm using 2 at a time, so I'm marling it. But I thought that this was just such a pretty fabric that I decided I wanted to make a actual sweater out of it. So I bought a bunch of these, and what I'm thinking is I might make a shifty out of it by Andrea Mowry. Deciding whether or not I'm gonna buy some yarn off of Knit Picks and use that, or even use the yarn that I showed earlier from Madeline Tosh, that's silk merino, to make it. But I'm not quite sure. I think that I probably use a little bit rougher yarn than the Mad Tosh yarn, since it'll probably hold up a little better. So that's the plan with this. This little guy, I have a bunch more of these in that ottoman that I showed you earlier. This was supposed to be a baby blanket for my daughter. This is the double knit blanket by Pearl Soho. I don't even think that you can see that this is double knit yet. Yeah, I'm like at the very first knit and I stopped. This was before I knew that she was a girl, and so I just decided to buy yellow and I started knitting with it. I like it. Will I continue to knit it? I'm not sure, but I started it. Like I said, I do like it. For some reason, I have a bias against gray that looks like this. I don't know why. It's just, it reminds me of sadness and dreariness, and I've knit a bunch of stuff in this color gray, and I don't know, it doesn't have any tone to it, and it bothers me. So I feel like when I start to knit with it, it's very lackluster, and I choose not to want to continue it. I think that it has a very good stitch pattern. It looks very nice. But yeah, I'm not too keen on it. And for some reason I keep buying yellows that are almost exactly the same shade. So yeah, this is supposed to be a design, a cardigan I'm planning. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this. I feel like there was one day in my life where I said, you know what, yellow is going to be a beautiful color for a cardigan. And now I look back and I say, what was I thinking? I am Hawaiian, so I do tan pretty easily, so that might look good in the summer. But I just haven't had it in me to actually do it. So I might sell this yarn because it just looks at me and I don't do anything and I can find a better home. This is a Zauberball. By, I guess, Schopel Yarns. It is, I guess, made in Germany. But it's a really pretty one. Let me see if I can find it. There's a picture of how it knits up. And you can see how much I paid for it, so that's great. But I got this at a yarn shop. I want to knit something with color work and use this as the contrast color. And so for that, I bought a bunch of Knit Picks yarn. Here we go. Knit Picks palette, which is a super inexpensive yarn. And so this is a navy, and I thought that it would look really nice with this. I just have to find a good pattern for what I want to do. But I have a bunch of those, as you can see back there, that I just tossed over there. Okay, and moving on. This is a Woolfolk yarn. I did say I had one more in my stash. This is Tauve. It is a super pretty worsted weight yarn. I don't really have brown in my stash, so I thought that I would get this. It's T09. I am probably planning on making a little hat out of this, or probably more mittens. Probably mittens, since I don't like to wear hats. But it's very soft, and I was just excited again to buy Woolfolk yarn. Woolfolk yarn is quite expensive, so I don't know if I'll ever buy a sweater quantity of it, but it is beautiful. These are sock yarns. They're just marled yarns, so they're going to make a really cool pattern when I knit them up. I just need to. This over here is a pile of yarn that I was starting to make a tonal blanket from Pearl Soho with. White was going to be the main color, and these colors were going to be mixed in between, and then I was going to also add probably one of these yellow colors in there, but gave up and stopped knitting it because, again, I do not like knitting blankets. This is just the petite wool from We Are Knitters. It did come in a kit. I am not planning on using it for that, and I might not use this yarn. I'm a little worried because it's a single ply that it's going to pill. If you've used the petite wool and you've made a garment out of it and you can attest to the fact that it does not pill, please let me know because I would love to make something, but I also do not want to put a lot of work in for something that's just going to constantly pill on me. So I might be selling that as well. I have more sock yarn here and here. I went over this one yesterday. Here's some really pretty yarn from Pineapple Yarn that I'm planning on using to knit me and my daughter some socks. Let's see, and I've got a really pretty Madeline Tosh yarn. This yarn is a lace weight yarn that I got in Seattle. I'm really excited to use this. I'm going to mix this with this light mohair stellina, or I guess it's silk with lurex. Let's see if I can show you it. My dog got into it, and so I had the joy of trying to untangle mohair, which if you've ever worked with mohair know that that's almost a nearly impossible feat. So I used to have more. I lost quite a bit to my dog, who apparently left now, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I was thinking of making like a little bandana wrap or something with these two together, just something lightweight. And then last but not least, come back here. Oh, I guess I have one more thing to show I missed. Here is the start of the Celeste pullover from Sorry Noblin. It's got a bunch of baubles. I'll put a link in my account. It's got a nice folded over collar. I stopped knitting this because I was struggling with making baubles. I just need to be a little bit more patient with it. But this yarn I got from the Web's website, Cloudborne Fibers. It's wool worsted, Stormy Skies is the color, and this is what it looks like. It's kind of a muddy blue. It's quite soft, easy to work with, and it's pretty inexpensive. So I do like that. And yeah, we'll see what happens with it. Here's some more sock yarn. And then last but not least, I have a bunch of hedgehog fibers. They're silk, or they're sock. Here we go. That I am hoping to make the What the Fade cardigan, or What the Fade shawl. I have never made one before. Actually, this would look really pretty with that. I've never made one before, but I've been thinking of it, and I'm hoping that I get around to it one day. I might even add this color into the mix as well. It looks so pretty. It looks like it'd be a fun knit, but again, I've not gotten around to it, but I do have the yarn for it, so we shall see. All right, one more place to go, which will be my ottoman, and we will be all done and I can organize. All right, so I don't have much to show you here. This is kind of where I keep all of my project bags, my blocking boards, sock holders, all of that. So I've got my blocking boards here, extra needles, sorry for the unwanted ASMR, an extra Ziploc bag, I guess. But yeah, I've just been trying to kind of get rid of some stuff here. So let's see here what I've got. Ooh, everything is so tangled. This is like reminding me of being an anesthesiologist and having all of my cords tangled on my monitors and having to crawl through them and get untangled. All right, so this is another one of those Knit Crate sock. What am I trying to say? Sock memberships. This is a really pretty variegated baby blue and white. It's kind of what it looks like. I was making kind of a sock pattern design. It was a toe up, and it uses pretty much the exact same pattern as that scarf that I showed you, with a little bit of design here, detail here. It looks actually really pretty on. I should finish it. I just haven't yet, but yeah, that I'm probably going to continue to knit on. And then let's see here. I got some Christmas self-striping yarn that I ended up taking my needles off of, but this is a Christmas yarn I got off of Etsy. I will find the person that made this so that you guys can buy from her too. It's really pretty. It's a nice bright cherry red, very Christmassy, and I'm really excited to do a candy cane sock. So that'll be fun. These are double pointed needles. I sometimes like to use double pointed needles and sometimes not. So for these, I was enjoying a double pointed needle, but obviously I took them out and said, you know what, it's not Christmas anymore. I'm gonna put those to the side. All right, let's get some of my project bags out of the way. Here is more yarn for that double knit blanket.
let's see what's in here. Oh yes. All right. This is my rose cardigan that has been sitting half finished, or not even close to being finished, here in this project bag. I really like this. This pattern is by Andrea Mowry. So you can hear I have a lot of things that I want to knit from her. It's knit in pieces and knit together. I am knitting it in a single color. She does a fade, which obviously she's very famous for. And it's basically knit stockinette on one side, and then the purl side ends up being your actual fabric, and then there's a little cable that you end up seaming together with another one to make the sleeve. I am using, let's see, is this my base? No, this isn't. This is. I am using Camello Merino. I got this again off of that website. It is Plymouth yarn. It is 80% extra fine merino wool and 20% baby camel. It is so soft. It's a fingering weight yarn, 180 yards per 50 grams, and I've quite enjoyed knitting with it. I am holding it with a Southampton Valley Yarns 72% mohair, 28% mulberry silk in the color 022. I should say that this camel yarn is in the color 30. But yeah, this is almost like a kind of a coffee color, or a little bit of like a hazelnut color. It is so pretty, and it is very soft. The silk is very nice. So it was fairly inexpensive, which I was hoping for. And I think that these two combined have made a really nice color for my yarn. So I think that I need to just get back on track here and keep knitting it. I forget why. I thought that I found it to be a little bit of a cumbersome knit, or at least I had to pay attention. And sometimes I just don't want to. And so I put it aside for that reason. So I have a lot of balls for that project in here. And then last but not least, I have my own little design that I was making. It's just a sweater here. I've split for the sleeves and gotten a little bit of the body. I basically was trying to figure out a new way to make a little bit more texture when I knit. So it's almost like a slip stitch knit purl look to it. I don't know if you can see, but I had a bunch of single skein yarns, and I was just trying to figure out ways to marl and make it a little different. So there's 4 different colors in here, and I was just playing around, but I should finish this. I like it. This color up here is from Hedgehog Fibers. I love it. I think it's really pretty. And then, yeah, there's just a bunch of different random skeins in here that I was found and put together. So I should finish this one. It's very soft, and it's just a in the round increase, and yeah, I like it. So those are all kind of the things that are in here. I have my wool wash in here. Like I said, I've got pom makers, and that is all. So let's organize and get done so we can knit. Okay, now that I've got my little canine Marie Kondo here, we can get ready to organize.
Okay, so here is where we are. This obviously doesn't look like it's been organized at all, but all of this stuff is the stuff that came from these drawers, and basically I'm going to keep all of it. I'm planning on doing something with them, and if not, we'll figure that out. So this will all go back. Let me see here. I've decided that this is a little bit some bits and bobbles here. I've thought about whether or not I was going to keep my scraps, and I probably should, but I know I'm never going to use them, so I'm going to throw those away. This chenille sweater monstrosity is going to get ripped out and then end up going into this pile, which is going to be my pile to either donate or sell. I haven't made up my mind yet. Otherwise, these are the whips that I found. This is a baby sweater that I didn't talk about. It's like a teddy bear sweater. It comes with a hood. I messed up somewhere and I need to figure that out. I was knitting this really quickly, but I will probably make this for my next baby because it is really soft and it's a really pretty yarn. This is, I didn't talk about this earlier, this is the Sidar Snuggly Bunny color. It's so pretty. It's this really cute little like I said, hooded cardigan for a baby. Shade 0311. I'm sorry, my hand's shaking. I had a lot of coffee today. I'm gonna keep this scarf and all of these going. I'll see what I decide to do, if I'm gonna rip it out and make a sweater out of it. And then, like I said, I need mittens, so I probably should just go ahead, finish this. So I'm gonna keep these, and then I'm gonna keep those green socks. And then because I am nostalgic, I wanna keep my first sock because it's just so sweet. So those will stay. I'm gonna put these in my ottoman so that I know where they are and then work on them. And then these are the yarns that I'm going to keep. I'm gonna put them in the container with the yarns that I've been keeping in their sweater quantities worth, as well as my Nature's Palette bag. And then hopefully, instead of having 3 containers worth of yarn, I just have 2. That way I can use one for moving. So that's that. I'm gonna clean up and I will see you shortly.
Okay, so I'm back to where I started the day after a lot of organization. As you can see behind me, this looks exactly the same, so I don't think anyone would think that I organized any yarn, but I did. I misspoke earlier when I talked about my plans for this Ariata yarn. I was saying I was going to make the Ursa sweater out of it. That's not true. I am planning on making the Carbeth sweater out of this yarn. And I will link that below. I'm actually planning on making, and I didn't even pull this yarn out, planning on making the Ursa sweater with this yarn. It's a burnt orange, it's a Surrey Merino from Blue Sky Alpaca. It's so pretty and it's got just the prettiest halo. I'm sure I'm gonna be getting these fibers all over myself all the time, but this is gonna be the Ursa sweater. I also have Blue Sky fibers. Obviously you can tell I'm a huge fan of Blue Sky, of Brush Surrey in their DK weight. This color is, what color is this? Snow cone. How cute is that? So it's a very, very, very light icy blue. My plans for this is probably like a wrap sweater, so one that wraps around you and ties. I've seen a couple patterns online that I'm interested in doing, but I will probably be making one of those in this, so something spring. But yeah, I've got 4 skeins of that, or no, sorry, 5 skeins of that, so that'll be fun. But those live in this little basket up here. She's not tall enough yet to reach up here, but when she is, this will probably have to go away. So overall, I'm very happy with how today went. I was able to go through those mystery boxes that have been sitting in my closet for a long time. I am down to 1 box of yarn. I repeat, 1 box of yarn. I originally started with 3, so I'm super happy about it. I'm excited to kind of gone through again, refresh my ideas of what I want to go and knit with in 2023. I clearly have a lot of yarn choices to go through, and I am extremely blessed to have those. So thank you to those who tuned in. I greatly appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content, and I will continue doing knitting podcasts as well. Again, I'm doing podcasts just to make some more friends, so please reach out to me if you'd like. I would love to chat and talk about all things knitty. All right, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.